Good morning.
Good morning.
Have you ever thought about doing something? Doing the right thing? Maybe something you know you ought to do? Something you want to do, but you never actually got around to doing it? Haven't we all? My topical message or devotional this morning is called The Follow-Through, or Redeeming the Time. And that'd be with the cool little parentheses, be the follow-through, or redeeming the time. It is not, and the reason that I chose this, is because this is probably one of my biggest problems at the time, is thinking about stuff and having good ideas, but then just never making the time to see them happen, whether it be writing a story or a song or telling someone something. And it is not enough just to have good intentions. It is said the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And while this may not be the best expression in and of itself per se, it means that even though you may want to do something good or want to make something good happen, if you go about it the wrong way, more bad than good may come of it. If you want to accomplish something good, is it ever okay to do the wrong thing, even for the right reason? But the way I mean that is good intentions are good, but if they are not acted upon with strong moral principle, carrying them out with disciplined biblical decisions, what are they really worth? If you see someone hurting and you think it would be a good idea for someone to comfort them, and then you keep walking by, what have you really accomplished? If you think comforting thoughts, that's not actually going to comfort unless you actually follow through and say them. If actions speak louder than words, they most certainly speak louder than thoughts. You will not be rewarded just for your thoughts. Well, actually, I don't know. Maybe you will. After all, what does Philippians 4:8 say? Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. Thinking good thoughts will certainly be more rewarding than thinking bad thoughts, but thinking alone is usually not good enough. You can have a good thought, or you can have a bad thought, but what you do with those thoughts is what matters. James 1:14 and 15 say, "But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then, when the lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin." In other words, having a bad thought is not sin. It is when that thought is acted upon, it is when it produces sin. And at the same time, having a good thought is not a good work. It's when you act upon the good thought that you will be rewarded. What really matters is, or what I think the point of Philippians 4:8 is, what you dwell upon is what affects how you act. So if you think of whatever things are honest, just, pure, that's what's going to reflect in your life. That is the fruit that will produce truthfulness, honesty, faithfulness. But if you think on evil things, then the works of the flesh will be manifest: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, and such like. You can see a bum on the corner and think to yourself, oh, wouldn't it be nice if someone gave him a blanket or bought him lunch and shared the gospel with him? That would just be fantastic. But if you keep walking by and you don't do anything, what eternal value is it? When pondering this subject, I was remembering what it says in the book of James. Being careful, of course, to rightly divide and recognize that some of what he writes is not for this dispensation. However, he poses a good question in the second chapter, which fits perfectly with the example I just gave. James 2:15 and 16. If a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you say unto them, Depart in peace, be warmed and filled. Notwithstanding, ye give them not these things which are needful to the body, what doth it profit? What does it profit? To illustrate this point about the follow-through, good intentions are not enough, I contrived this illustrative story. One morning, Luke's mom came and knocked on his door. It's time to get up, honey, she said. Oh man, thought Luke. I was just having a good dream and everything. Can't I just have 5 more minutes, Mom? Well, all right, said his mom, glancing at her watch. But if you don't come down soon, you won't get your breakfast while it's hot. I've prepared good things for you, waffles and bacon, your favorite. Now you just have to do your part and get there on time. Luke mumbled something barely audible as his mother shut the door, and he was fast asleep. He was fully intending to get up in 5 more minutes because he wanted to have his breakfast while it was hot. He wanted to be rewarded with a hot breakfast, and he wanted to be well-pleasing to his mom. But when those 5 minutes came around, well, Luke was tired, Luke was comfortable, and Luke was warm. When his mom came to wake him up a half hour later, Luke didn't end up getting his hot breakfast after all. On a dispensational note, he still got breakfast, but it just wasn't as good as it could have been if he had put his intentions into action and done the right thing when he was supposed to. You know, it kind of reminds me of that praise and worship song. One day every tongue will confess you are Lord. One day every knee shall bow. But still the greatest treasure remains for those who gladly choose you now.